The cost y in dollars to rent X video games is represented by y equals 4x. Graph the equation and interpret the slope. The equation shows that the slope m is 4, so the graph passes through 0, 0, and 1, 4. Plot the points and draw a line through the points. Because negative values of x do not make sense in this context, graph in the first quadrant only. The slope indicates that the unit cost is $4 per video game. The daily wage y in dollars of a factory worker is proportional to the number of parts x assemble in a day. A worker who assembles 250 parts in a day earns $75. Part A. Write an equation that represents the situation. Use the point 250, 75 to find the slope m of the line. First, write the direct variation equation, y equals mx. Then substitute 75 for y and 250 for x. Then solve for m. Divide each side by 250 to obtain 75 divided by 250 is equal to m. Then simplify. Dividing out a common factor of 25, you obtain 3/10 equals m. So, an equation that represents the situation is y equals 3/10 times x. Part B. How much does a worker earn who assembles 300 parts in a day? First, write the equation obtained in Part A. Y equals 3/10 times x. Then substitute 300 for x and simplify, obtaining y equals 3/10 times 300. Divide out a common factor of 10 to obtain 3 over 1 times 30, which is equal to 90. So, a worker who assembles 300 parts in a day earns $90.
At a track event, the distance y in meters traveled by student A in x seconds is represented by the equation y equals 7x. The graph shows the distance traveled by student B. Part A. Which student is faster? Let's start with student A. To find the speed of student A, we need to find the slope of the equation given in the problem. The equation is y equals 7x. The slope is 7. This tells us that student A travels 7 meters per second. Now let's look at student B. To find the speed of student B, we need to find the slope of the line on the graph. Remember, slope equals rise over run. In the graph, we see that the rise is 24 and the run is 3. 24 thirds is 8, so the slope is 8. This means that student B travels 8 meters per second. So, as you can see, student B has the greater speed, so student B is faster than student A. Now let's look at Part B. Graph the equation that represents student A in the same coordinate plane as student B. Compare the steepness of the graphs. What does this mean in the context of the problem? First, start by graphing the equation y equals 7x in the same coordinate plane as student B, and label the line as student A. Now we need to compare the steepness of the graphs. The graph that represents student B is steeper than the graph that represents student A. Finally, we need to answer the question, what does this mean in the context of the problem? In the context of the problem, this means that student B is faster.